Welcome aboard Imagination Skyway, your guided tour through the worlds of Disney and Imagineering. I'm Matthew Kroll, your host on this panoramic journey, and I'm on a mission to better understand the stories and places we love and the people who bring them to life. In today's episode, we discuss the Swan at Walt Disney World. On a recent trip to Central Florida, I was hosted by the Swan for a 2-night stay with my family. Now that our trip has concluded, I would like to take the time to share my review of our stay and discuss everything you need to know about this property. As a result, this episode will include a rundown of the Swan, along with some personal anecdotes from our stay. And since this is a hosted stay, it's also worth mentioning that this episode is sponsored by the Swan. As you fasten your seatbelt, I encourage you to take out your mobile devices and search for Imagination Skyway on your favorite social media app. Better yet, if you're looking for ad-free episodes, bonus content, or the ability to comment directly on the podcast, head to patreon.com/Imagination Skyway, where you can sign up for a free account or a premium subscription. And Patreon is spelled Patreon. And if this episode leaves you yearning for a trip to Disney or any other destination, reach out to our partners and sponsors at KMV Travel by visiting kmvtravel.com/Skyway. As we begin our journey, please remain seated, keep your hands and arms inside the podcast at all times, and enjoy your journey aboard Imagination Skyway. Up until this point, all the resorts that we've covered have been official Disney resorts. This is the first time we're stepping outside of that precedent and covering technically a Good Neighbor Hotel, which is one of 3 of the same family. For this one, focused on between the Swan Dolphin and Swan Reserve, the Walt Disney World Swan. Once again, I've got Kelly joining me. So Kelly, welcome back to the show.
Thank you.
I know the Swan holds a special place in your heart, and we're going to talk all about it. This is my first time staying here. I'll reinforce again, just for transparency, it was a hosted stay, so it was a free 2 nights. Regardless, like anything else, these are going to be my candid, honest thoughts about this property. I'll give you the good and the bad, and honestly, there's really not too much that's bad. It's a lot of good about staying here. Let's start with some rapid-fire questions. This is the easy, low-hanging fruit, I think. Swan, Dolphin, or Swan Reserve?
Swan, yeah.
I have only stayed at 2, but between the Swan and the Dolphin, I will also say the Swan. I would like to try the Swan Reserve. Perhaps that will be a future visit. Transportation always seems to be a rapid-fire question for me for resorts. So the main transportation here, other than bus, is Friendship Boat. Are you taking the Friendship Boat to Epcot, or are you walking to Epcot?
If it is August, I'm going to take the Friendship Boat.
Yes.
Any other time, I'm going to walk.
That's a great answer. Dependent on the time of year. I love the walk, so I'm going to do the walk, but the Friendship Boat is also great. And there are a ton of restaurants across all 3 hotels. What's your favorite restaurant?
I love Il Molino. It holds a special place in my heart. So that's a great one. But also Kimonos is super fun. I feel like I said that wrong. But super fun spot. There's so many great restaurants here though.
It is. I'm really happy to be back here. I have not been here in I guess it's almost a week now. Over a week since I've been back at this property, but it feels like yesterday I was just here. And before we talk a little bit about the, I guess, like your personal review of this property. Can you explain the differences between the Swan, Dolphin, and Swan Reserve? I'll start us off by saying all 3 are Marriott properties. The Swan is a Westin, the Dolphin is a Sheraton, the Swan Reserve is an Autograph Collection. So for your Marriott Bonvoy members, you'll be familiar with those names. What, other than the brand's name, differentiates these 3 sister properties that are so close together?
Yeah. So you're going to get a very different feel depending on which one you go in. And Marriott Bonvoy members are going to get that just from us staying those brands, which is the nice thing about this is because all 3 of these are going to be different price points too. So the Swan is going to be a little bit more, upscale in terms of their offerings. They have those Westin heavenly beds.
They are heavenly.
Yes.
They are heavenly. So heavenly.
Their rooms are really large. If you've been in them, there's a lot of space. They do have a few different options too for room layouts, which is nice. So you have like alcove rooms, so that's going to give you not only just a sleeping area, but kind of like a living area too. Dolphin's going to be a little bit more standard in terms of what the rooms are. I always say it's a great one if you're looking to take advantage of those deluxe benefits, but you're more on a budget. It's still going to be a beautiful hotel to stay in, but not as many of the upgraded amenities that you get at the Swan or the Swan Reserve. The Dolphin is going to be the location where there's the kids club though, so if you do have little ones, it's a nice spot to be at because you can take advantage of that. You actually can take advantage of that even if you're staying around the boardwalk, so something to think about. You do have to be staying for date night on the boardwalk area, so you're close enough to get your kid out if something does come up. But there's going to be a lot of amenities over there that are going to be really more family friendly. There is the, let me get the name right because this is a new one, and I bet you know what I'm going to talk about. The Lagoon, the games, lanes, and eats. So quick service food over there, but also some games, things like that. So that always feels like the Dolphin, the kind of family friendly one. The Swan is kind of your more upgraded, and then your Swan Reserve is really that special, you kind of want a more boutique-y type feel over at that resort there.
Yeah, I will say the Swan, having two little ones, was very family friendly for us. So even if you're not at the Dolphin, where it is perhaps even more so family friendly, we had a great family experience here. So I would absolutely recommend. It's a Disney property or a Good Neighbor property on Disney property. So any of these three are going to be good for families, but that's a good way to differentiate the three of them. Talk about your personal connections to the Swan, because I know you, and that's one of the reasons I'm happy to have you on this episode.
Yes. You told me we were going to do the Swan, and I was so excited.
Yeah.
Pat and I, my husband and I, were married here about 4 years ago on the Crescent Terrace. So where we're sitting, I'm actually kind of like looking right out at it. And we had our reception, our dinner at Il Molino, so that was our special connection there. But it is the most beautiful spot to have a quote-unquote Disney wedding without being in the Disney parks or at a Disney resort. It just offered the perfect backdrop for us on Crescent Lake. And you can really make a lot of your own decisions here. There's a lot of ways that I could be very creative, and that's my background is in art and everything. So having that, I was able to do a lot here that I wouldn't have been able to do at Disney. So I have a special place for this resort and for their opportunities that they offer for brides and grooms.
One of the things I learned staying here, I learned so much. I have not given this hotel its due diligence or its time, its due time. In the past, I'm so ashamed I haven't. So I learned a lot about this hotel staying here. And one of the things I learned is they have a bakery on site, and they have a window you can look in to actually look at them making the cakes. So did you get one of the custom cakes here?
Yes,
How
I did.
was it? What did you get?
Oh my gosh, it was amazing. I wanted something very basic because that's just
okay.
me.
I mean, it doesn't have to, wedding cakes you want everybody to enjoy too.
So it was just a vanilla cream. I think we might have had strawberry in it because my husband really pushed for that. But it was amazing. Everybody absolutely loved it. And I think the other thing that was so nice was their serving team was just so gracious with everything, and they were as excited as we were about having this cake. So just across the board, a really great team of people working here. They have extremely high standards, which I think some people look at, well, it's not Disney, but trust me, they're Disney Plus in a lot of ways, because they do have the Marriott brand that they're with. They're doing weddings and special events, and they have the Disney brand that they have to stand up against.
Yeah, that's all good points to make. Have you, so you've stayed here before too, so what's your experience staying at the Swan?
Yeah, so we stayed here when we got married, and I've stayed at the Swan Reserve and the Dolphin, and we had one of the alcove rooms, so it was really great for us because when we were here for a special event, we were having people come in for breakfast in the morning or whatever it may have been. So for us, having that extra space was like so worth it. We did have a view of Epcot, so we were able to see the fireworks at night.
That's so nice.
And I was thinking too, for a family, how nice it would be. That was a king bed and a pull-out, so sofa. So even a family of 4, that's a great option to kind of have a little bit of separation and just to have more space for your luggage. If you have a stroller, a wheelchair, there's always things like that I look at in rooms, and this is one of the places where if someone does have a wheelchair or has multiple, options, whatever they may have, this is a great spot because you're going to have places that you can put things and it not be in the middle of your living space.
Yeah, I have seen pictures of the alcove rooms before, and I am going to be honest, this was my first time staying here. I went into it as a lifelong Disney fan. Nothing lives up to a Disney property for me. Stayed at Boardwalk, Yacht Club, Beach Club. I thought Swan it's going to be really hard for me to give a positive review about the Swan. Like, I went into it thinking like, I'm really grateful for this opportunity. I want to give it its best shot, but I was worried, candidly, because as much as I've seen the reviews, I am such a fan of the Disney resorts. But they won me over. They really did. I honestly have to say that anywhere else in the country, anywhere else in the world, I don't talk about this because the show talks about Disney. I'm a Marriott Bonvoy member, Gold member. I stay at Marriott properties everywhere we go. If there's a hotel selection to choose from, I'm defaulting to Marriott. So I already knew going into this that was going to be a nice benefit. I'm very comfortable with Marriott. I love the Marriott brand. I love Marriott rooms and bedding, but I just didn't think it would have the same magic as staying at Boardwalk or Yacht Club or Beach Club. But this, I've said before that Coronado Springs is my go-to, Grandestino Tower is my go-to for a cash stay when I'm not using my Disney Vacation Club points. It might be the Swan now. And that's a really hard benchmark to surpass because I have a huge affinity for Grandestino Tower. But between I think a couple of things for me are, one, the location, especially for the price, is so hard to beat. I'm such a fan of staying on Crescent Lake. And Boardwalk, Yacht Club, Beach Club, great properties. Obviously, we've talked about Boardwalk before. We'll definitely do Yacht Club and Beach Club, probably separate discussions, if not together. But it's really hard. Like, there is something really intimate and charming about this hotel, especially now that they've remodeled the rooms. They are fresh. Mm-hmm. The Heavenly beds, Heavenly is exactly the right word. It's probably the most comfortable bed I've stayed in on Disney property. No exaggeration. The rooms were large, like you said. I was surprised at how much space we had as a family of 4. I'm probably gonna, in the future, especially as Maggie and Emily, especially once Emily's old enough to be sleeping in a bed, to have the alcove room so that we can have more space. The Epcot view sounds great. We had a luminous view from the 4th floor overlooking, I'll call it a partial view, right? We didn't have it, it wasn't like I was looking over World Showcase Lagoon, but we could see luminous every night. The bathroom, the fact that they have 2 sinks, one that's attached to the hallway in a way, like you going into the room, we sort of like make a left and there's this little bathroom area to start where you have the closet with the luxurious robes, the bathrobes, and you've got the sink there, and then you go into the past the door into the bathroom. They have another sink there, and the tower shub. It's the shower tub. It's a tower shub. The shower tub. So it was really, and then the room was just comfortable, and it had that fresh smell, and then walking through the lobby, it has that intimate is the only word I could use to describe it. It's not too busy. Mm-hmm. It's got this really like interesting geometric shapes. The chandeliers are beautiful. The Swan fountain in the lobby and the 2 outside. And then that walking distance, like I said, the fact that we so easily pop over to Boardwalk, so easily go to Hollywood Studios or to Yacht Club's right across the bridge. Beach Club is just a step beyond that, and Epcot's just a step beyond that. So like everything about this was just so great. The service was great. And I know people are saying, well, you were hosted, but that includes people that had no idea who I was. I didn't walk around wearing a badge that said, hey, I'm media, treat me right. I tried to be very incognito, and just everybody I encountered here was really friendly. The Java coffee shop, I love this Java coffee shop. Really good coffee, lots of conveniences, like snacks you can buy, food. It's just so much is available here. I wish I had more time to dine at Il Molino because I really would like to, and I wanted to for this trip, but we had so much park time planned. But I have to say, from end to end, this experience absolutely was great. So we'll talk about the specifics of the property, but I just wanted to share that review because I'm sold on the Swan. I really am. My only regret with doing this episode is that it's going to be harder to get rooms after talking about it because that's what happened to Coronado Springs. It's harder to get a room there now. But hey, everybody go to Coronado Springs now. I will be at the Swan. So let's talk about the room options. I don't think there's as many as some of the other properties we've talked about, but what are some of the room options that are available here? We've talked about 2.
Yeah. So we've kind of gone over most of them.
Yeah.
So you have your traditional, which is going to be your 4 adults. You can do 2 queen, or if it's just going to be 2 adults, you can do 1 king. And then their views are kind of set up as no view or resort view. And within that, you can get different views. So like we were very lucky to be able to see Epcot. But then there also is a deluxe. So your deluxe, what that means is you're going to have a balcony, which is really nice. I will say, some people will always ask, which is the balcony worth it? If you have kids and you're okay with kind of keeping those safety, requirements there, having that extra space is really nice to have. Also, if you're just sharing a room with another couple, whatever it may be, having that little bit of extra space makes a big difference.
Yeah.
So the deluxe does come in 2 queen or a king. And then the alcove, like I talked about. So again, with that, you're going to have, it's a larger than a traditional or deluxe, the 1 king and then a sofa bed, and then you can do the deluxe alcove, so you get that balcony. We didn't do the deluxe alcove, so we'll have to come back and do that, I guess. I'll talk to Pat about that one. But I have to say the alcove was definitely worth it if you are looking for that little bit of extra space.
Yeah, the room that we were in was a king, and it had the sofa bed. So Maggie slept on the sofa bed, and then of course we requested a crib for Emily, like all Marriott properties, or most Marriott properties at least. Because I can't speak to all of them everywhere around the world, but everyone I've been to, cribs are complimentary upon request. And actually, that was the other thing, most Marriott properties only have pack and plays, but the Swan had a crib, a full-size crib, which is our preference when we go away. So it was nice to actually have a crib waiting in the room for Emily, which was great. We started covering a little bit. There's a lot to talk about. Dining. There's a ton of dining between these 3 properties. I mean, here we obviously talked about Il Molino, Kimono, and Java Coffee Shop. I honestly have to pull up the list because there's so many that I can't even remember all of them.
I'm just counting them as you were saying that, and it's about 20 that there are.
It's crazy.
And it's all different types of options, right? Like there's the bars, there's the quick service, there's the coffee shops, table service.
Garden Grove, I forgot Garden Grove. That's the other one that's here.
Yes. But there really is, what's nice is if you're staying here and it is a rainy day, like we're looking outside and it's raining right now, you could get every meal here and you would not feel like you had been in the same spot because there's so many different options. And there is a lot of different things for, if you are foodies, there's tons here. But if you also have very picky eaters, Garden Grove is amazing for picky eaters or people that are foodies. The Rosa Mexicano across the way at the Dolphin, so good. One of the best ones, Mexican restaurants on property. But honestly, I don't think there's a restaurant here that I would not recommend to people. And I've eaten at pretty much all of these places.
Yeah, the Garden Grove is, for me, very classic hotel breakfast. It's the comfort breakfast. You've got the steel-cut oatmeal or grits, fruit parfait, omelets, steak and eggs, waffles, pancakes, French toast, shrimp and grits, avocado toast, biscuits and gravy, lots of a la carte sides. So at Garden Grove, it's funny, I've eaten at Garden Grove one time, and it was Thanksgiving 2007. My family came to visit for me being on the college program, and we had, I gotta be honest, I don't remember if it was dinner or breakfast, but it was on Thanksgiving, and we had our Thanksgiving meal at Garden Grove. So that holds a very nostalgic, special place for me. I walked inside, I'm like, I've been here before.
Was this back in the character days when they were there?
You know, I don't remember characters being there, so probably not.
Yeah, there used to be. I think it was pre-COVID. There was characters there, and I had always wanted to go as a child to this restaurant because of the tree in the middle. So I feel like other people are going to be like, oh my gosh, I definitely had that same vibe, but it's still just as magical even without the characters now.
We should also, I know this is about the Swan, but they have a new restaurant over at the Dolphin, which is the Bourbon Steak, the Michael Molina restaurant. I really wanted to dine there too. I need to devote an entire vacation to these properties for dining.
Yes.
Because there is so much. But everything I've seen about this Bourbon Steak restaurant, which is open for dinner, it's a signature restaurant. It replaced Shula's Steakhouse, but it's got, I mean, oysters on the half shell, shrimp cocktail, caviar service. For Bourbon Steak Classics, you've got the main lobster pot pie, the hay smoked tomahawk, the slow roasted prime rib. You've got a miso broiled sea bass, which sounds so good with baby squash, shishito peppers, ginger. You've got the farm and flock sections. You get red wine braised wagyu short rib, butter roasted chicken, and then you've got obviously the filet mignon New York strip, the Delmonico ribeye, porterhouse. So if you're like into steak, which I am, I do love steak. I've stayed at Swan and Dolphin now. I think between the two, I like the Swan more than the Dolphin. I would stay at the Dolphin again, but I really love the Swan. So I would stay here and head over there for steak. And because they have a kids club, make it a date night. That's a really nice benefit, that if you've got young kids and you do want a mom and dad night out, or parents night out, you can absolutely go and do that. I can go and do that. So I'm looking forward to maybe doing that someday. One thing we have not discussed, and I would love for you to walk people through, is the fact that while this resort, I feel, is priced at the moderate level, it is considered a Disney Deluxe resort. So can you talk about what that means?
Yes. So if you go onto the website for Walt Disney World and you look at Disney's Walt Disney World Swan Hotel or the Dolphin or Swan Reserve, they are going to be considered deluxe resorts. So that means that they are deluxe resorts in everything that you would get at a deluxe resort if you were at the Grand Floridian in terms of benefits. So you are getting early entry, which of course all Disney resorts get, but these are some of the select ones that are going to get that. So the parks, you do get the option to get your lightning lanes 7 days in advance, extended evening hours on select nights at select parks. You also do have an on-site Disney planning center here, which is actually a really nice thing because we do have a lot of people that stay here that it'll be like an extended conference or convention option. So having that option just to have the Disney Planning Center, or even if you are a Disney buff and everything, you know it all, but something happens, there's a cast member who works for Disney that is actually right in your hotel that can help you out with it. And I will say that their Marriott team here is exceptional, and they know quite a bit too, but you do have that option that's right there. Other thing that I found out today actually about the Swan is you get the opportunity for advanced tee times for 3 of the courses on property. So if you are a big golfer, this is a nice option. Plus you do get that complimentary parking at theme parks and then also transportation. So you will have the friendship boats to Disney's Hollywood Studios, Epcot. You can walk, of course, to those, but then you'll have buses to Magic Kingdom, Disney's Animal Kingdom, Disney Springs, and the water parks. The one note with Magic Kingdom is they do drop you off at the TTC, Ticket and Transportation Center, so you will have to take the monorail or the ferry over, but that's going to add maybe 10 minutes to your trip.
Yeah. And you know what? One of the things we didn't talk about in the beginning too is the fact that when you think about this, I think a lot of Disney fans focus on, you know, I could see why, obviously, the Disney resorts. But Swan and Dolphin have a history at Disney. The Swan has been on Disney property longer than most Disney resort hotels. And that's part of the reason why I feel like it's part of this Legacy Good Neighbor collection. It's been here since 1990. So if you think about the Disney decade, that this was kind of at the start of the Disney decade. It is older than Beauty and the Beast. It has been here, and despite its age, kept up incredibly well. And then that 2025 renovation made it even more beautiful. But it has been here longer than the Boardwalk, the Beach Club, the Yacht Club, longer than Wilderness Lodge, longer than Animal Kingdom Lodge. Certainly longer, of course, than the newer resorts here. It's got quite a history on property. Recreation is another thing we should talk about. So one of the things I'll point out, and I would love to hear what recreation you enjoy here, they have Swan boats that you could take out from the Swan. In between the Swan and Dolphin, there's a little waterway. You're not going to take it out into Crescent Lake, but there's a little waterway between the Swan and the Dolphin on the other side. And you can actually rent Swan boats, which is included in the resort fee. So, you're paying the resort fee while you're here. You can enjoy the Swan boats, and then of course all the other recreation that's on property. So other than the Swan boats, which are kind of a novelty, what else can people do here on a resort day for recreation?
Yeah, I was going to say with the resort fee, like you're talking about, if you do book through Marriott, I believe it's $50 per night for the room. But if you do book a Walt Disney World's vacation package, the resort fee is included. So I like to say that because I know I have guests sometimes that will say, oh my gosh, am I going to have a resort fee? That's included for the Walt Disney World vacation packages. But you get so much with it that, trust me, there's a reason for that resort fee. There are 5 pools that are on property, and you get to use everything. It's kind of like their sister resorts, the Dolphin and Swan. So it's pretty much a shared space with everything. But there's the Grotto Pool, which is 3 acres. It is, I don't know if you got a chance to go over there, but
I didn't.
Oh my gosh.
I passed by all of them. I didn't actually go into any of them this trip.
That is like you need to plan a day just for the Grotto Pool, not just a rest day. It's the Grotto Pool day, because there is so much to do over there, and it is like you just want to sit there with, a drink in hand and enjoy your day. But there's also 2 lap pools, a spring pool, and then 4 water pool spas. And they do have different things for rent over there as well. So tubes, rafts, anything you might need for the pool. Huge health centers too. So if you are one of those people that is really great and gets up in the morning and wants to go on a bike or run.
I always say I'm going to do it on a vacation. I never do.
I've never said I was going to do it. But they do have beautiful health clubs here. They do have the Mandara Spa, which I've done, and that's a full-service spa and salon. It is located at the Dolphin, but again, it's right across the courtyard. They have Fantasia Gardens, miniature golf. Mm-hmm. So again, if you do book a Walt Disney Travel Company vacation package, you do get 4 vouchers for that. But that is one of the best things to do on a resort day, rest day. Jogging trails, they have a playground, beach volleyball, the swans, like you said, swan boats, and then the Camp Dolphin, which I think is one of the standouts about staying here, because Disney doesn't offer, of course, childcare. But this is a nice option if you are looking for that date night, going over to the steakhouse or wherever it may be. There's a lot of really great activities that they have for the kids, and it's very reasonably priced. And you can make reservations online, so it's very simple to do.
That's all really great. And the other thing I'll mention, having a 3.5-year-old, is this probably has the best playground on property over right behind the Swan, between the Swan and the Swan Reserve. As I was walking around property, I said, again, how did I not know this was here? I did not explore the Swan. I have not given it its fair due, and I certainly am making up for it now. But that playground is probably one of the best playgrounds on property. It's such a great place if you've got kids, if they're feeling energetic and they want to climb things. That happens a lot with toddlers. Take them to that playground. It is a really great place to go. you mentioned something that I definitely want to talk about because I received, when I posted about the Swan, I received probably 100 questions. And one of the questions that came up multiple times was if guests should book through Marriott, directly through the Swan, or through Disney. You obviously have you're the best person to ask this question. So what would you recommend?
It's going to depend on the family and what you're looking for out of it. So with Disney's packages, they are just going to have a standard room type that's on there. So if you are looking for that alcove room, we always can call in and try to see if we can request it and do things like that when we do a Walt Disney vacation package. But if you know for sure you want that alcove room or you want something in particular, I will say to you, let's book through Marriott and we'll do your tickets separately. Obviously, there's different ways that we can do it. If you are wanting to use points, of course, for your Marriott Bonvoy member, then you're going to book that directly through Marriott. But if you do book through Walt Disney Travel Company, you can still get points. It's still going to count towards your Marriott points. So it's really going to depend on what you're looking for. A lot of times it comes down to how the family wants to budget. Do they want that $200 deposit and then paying off 30 days prior, or do they want to kind of, make sure that they're just paying at check-in for their full stay here, plus doing their tickets separately?
Yeah, all really good advice. So for someone who has never stayed here before, we've given a lot of reasons, but speaking directly to the Disney fans, who are most people listening, the ones who stay at, Pop Century, Art of Animation, Caribbean Beach, Coronado Springs, Port Orleans, Grand Floridian, Boardwalk, Beach Club, you name it. I'm sure you're listening and you have a favorite. If you've never stayed at the Swan, why should you stay here? Especially if you're a Disney fan and you want to be immersed in the Disney magic.
Yeah. A lot of times people will say, well, you get these benefits and it's, much cheaper. I will say that that's true. There's a lot of times where you can get exceptionally good rates here. They offer discounts for teachers. They offer them for first responders. There's different things that they'll do for Florida residents, for annual pass holders. So they really do look to kind of bring in the communities, which I appreciate. But the standard that they have here is the standard that they have at Disney. If you know the Marriott brand, you know that they are very much built on the same type of level of service that they want to give to their clients and their guests. So I know I've had families that have stayed here because it worked out better for them. They wanted those benefits, and they come back to me next year and they're like, well, this is now my home resort because I don't think I can ever be further away from Epcot. And having all these dining options that are here, plus having all the pools, and it's like you have this little oasis resort that's on Disney property, and then you have everything that's at Disney. So I love this resort so much for families that have the mom or dad who's not as big of a Disney person, and it's kind of like, oh, I'm going for my spouse or for my kids, and so they have this as almost like their little break, but they still get all of those benefits at Disney, and they're really actually very much in the Disney bubble. They just haven't realized it. We trick them into it,
Fully immersed in the Disney bubble. And again, I feel, even just sitting here again, not staying here, I feel very at home. I could just sit in this lobby all day. It's not many resorts do that for me, but this is definitely one of them that I feel very comfortable here. I feel very at home. I almost wish I could just pop upstairs to a room right now. It's just very, very homey, and I love that being in the Epcot bubble for me is the best. The Magic Kingdom bubble's great, especially with little ones, but the Epcot bubble for me is the go-to place. So being in that Epcot bubble on a Marriott property with the service, with this elegant looking hotel, recently refurbished, comfortable rooms, heavenly beds, that's definitely the word to describe them. I will absolutely be back here again and again and again. And the last question for someone who is staying here, it's always how I like to wrap things up. What advice would you offer for someone to make the most of their stay at the Swan?
Because you are so close to Epcot and Hollywood Studios, I think you have to get a park hopper ticket because you're going to want to try out all the restaurants here, but then you're probably going to want to pop over and get some food or head into Galaxy's Edge. So definitely think having park hopper tickets is worth it. But also just taking advantage of what's at the resort. I think a lot of times, like you said it yourself, you have a lot of park time. And it's hard sometimes to say we're going to, spend the afternoon at the resort. But there is so much to do over here that is just as entertaining as maybe spending a day or an afternoon in the park. So breaking out that time to go spend it at the pool or to even walk around and see the other resorts that are over here.
This just reminded me of something, because I was going to say you can stroll World Showcase and enjoy the Food and Wine Festival, but I forgot that Swan and Dolphin have their own Food and Wine Classic. It's coming back this year for its 16th year, so if you're listening, this is really timely. November 14th and 15th, 2025, from 5 to 9 p.m. each night, they have their Food and Wine Classic. It is, from everything I've heard, I haven't experienced it. You know what, Kelly, I might need to work with you and come back for that weekend.
There we go. Okay,
now I think about it. I'm seriously considering that now, just to enjoy the Food and Wine Classic, because I've heard such incredible things about that. And it's got entertainment, it's got food, wine, everything you love, and I've been told it's exceptional. So timely every single year. Think about coming here in November for their Food and Wine Classic. But yeah, I think while you're here, definitely make the most of the hotel. Take advantage of the recreation, take advantage of the dining, because the dining here is really great. Take advantage of the Java coffee shop. I can't say it enough, I really enjoyed that coffee shop. And then just, even by extension, the access to Crescent Lake. We talk about that a lot with the Crescent Lake properties. The fact that you are in this one massive city, or not massive, but you're in this sort of conglomerate of hotels that you could take advantage. Well, of course, you're not going to be able to hop over to the pool over at Yacht Club. You can't just go to Stormalong Bay, but you can still enjoy Cape May Cafe. There's lots of ways to experience this Crescent Lake area, even on a resort day. But again, take advantage of what they have here at the Swan. It's really incredible. And I want to make sure for anyone who is interested in booking a room here, especially because maybe you're listening and you haven't stayed in the Swan before, that they reach out to you, Kelly. So where can people go to work with you?
So you can find us online at kmvtravel.com, and if you do / Skyway, am I right?
That's Skyway,
yes.
yeah.
Okay. Then it will make sure that I know that they came from you.
You can also select it, right? From your main
you
menu.
can select it right from my form there. But also, I'm on Instagram, KMV Travel Co., or my personal is Kelly's Magical Vacations. And you can always reach out to me by email, Kelly at KMV Travel. So we're kind of everywhere. You'll probably see us somewhere, but definitely reach out. Like I said, I have a very special place in my heart for this destination, and I love having families stay here.
Yeah, I'll add that if you are listening in 2025, we'll probably continue it, but we've got some special gifts too for listeners of Imagination Skyway, either from me or from Kelly or from both. Depends on. You'll have to just select Imagination Skyway and find out. It depends on a couple of things, but either way, if you select Imagination Skyway and you book a trip to Disney in 2025, which includes these properties, give you a little special gift there as well. But Kelly, thank you so much for joining me for this super special first Good Neighbor Hotel episode. And maybe next time we'll do Swan Reserve.
Welcome back to Imagination Central. Before you exit this episode, remember to follow Imagination Skyway on social media and share the show with anyone who might enjoy listening to our program. For ad-free episodes and bonus content, create a free account or sign up for a premium subscription at patreon.com/Imagination Skyway. When you're ready for your next vacation, remember that listeners of Imagination Skyway can get rewarded for booking a trip to Disney in 2025 through KMV Travel. Simply fill out the form at kmvtravel.com/Skyway and make sure that you select Imagination Skyway under the How Did You Hear About Us question to be eligible for a special gift from the team. Terms and conditions apply. As you disembark, please remember to remain fully seated until the podcast comes to a complete stop. Then gather your belongings and watch your head and step as you exit. Thank you for joining me aboard Imagination Skyway, and remember, if we can dream it, we can do it.